Welcome back, everybody, to the 2014 Pokemon Video Game Regional Championships here in Seattle, Washington. We are here in the semifinals, top four, with Thomas Mifflin on top versus Randy Qua
Thomas
on bottom.
Mifflin, the last American left in the tournament, trying to defend this American regional for the Americans.
Right. Of course, in other news, as you all may have heard, Ray Rizzo, the three-time world champion, has won a pretty tough regional from what I heard.
Yeah, there was tough competition up there, and Ray was up to the tough challenge, and he used a tough team, so...
Right. Anyways, back here now in Seattle, Washington, Thomas with Gardevoir, Tyranitar, Kangaskhan, Aegislash, Salamence, Rotom Washing Machine, versus Randy with Blastoise, Venusaur, Scizor, Smeargle, Garchomp, and Rotom H. Of course, we saw Randy earlier in the top 16 facing off against Gavin Michaels. Mega Venusaur, from what I hear, Mega Blastoise. Follow me, Smeargle, from what we saw.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Dark Void yet.
Right.
Definitely a clash of mindsets here. Thomas, much more standard Pokemon, what you kind of expect to see out of this XY metagame. Randy using things we don't see as often, like Blastoise, Scizor, even Mega Venusaur isn't that common outside of the sun.
Yes, Kangaskhan, of course, very popular Mega Evolution. Gardevoir, also a very popular Pokemon, mostly without its Mega Evolution, though. And Aegislash, a Pokemon that has seen a rise in popularity ever since the Winter Regionals.
Yeah, Gardevoir, another Pokemon that's benefited hugely from becoming a Fairy type. It now is used commonly as a Dragon counter. It can outspeed with a Choice Scarf or threaten Choice Specs Dazzling Gleams. It's very unpredictable. It can even Trick Room. So if you don't know if a Pokemon's going to be Scarfed or be using Trick Room to be on the opposite side of the speed spectrum, it can be hard to play.
Right, both players now getting underway here. Ready to send out their Pokemon to battle. PBB, of course, America's last hope to win this regional and keep it in America. Smeargle and Blastoise leads for Randy Qua versus Rotom Washing Machine and Kangaskhan for Thomas Mifflin.
Yeah, it's interesting, 3 Pokemon that can fake out on the field. We don't know which ones will, which ones won't, but it's definitely going to play an important part of this turn 1.
Don't forget the gentleman's rule to never fake out a fake outer.
Yes. Well, that means that Thomas is not allowed to fake out here.
Both players now trying to make the decision. Leads are always very important. So right now, Blastoise and Smeargle trying to see what their best course of action is against the Rotom and the Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan with the new Parental Bond ability, very strong, very powerful.
Yeah. Obviously, Blastoise under threat from this Thunderbolt from Rotom, and neither Pokemon really can hurt Rotom that badly, although Smeargle can put it to sleep.
Right. Blastoise Mega Evolving and into Mega Blastoise, getting its new ability, Mega Launcher. Mega Launcher.
Powering up pulse-based moves such as Aura Sphere and Water Pulse.
Right. Smeargle going for a King Shield and Blastoise protecting itself this turn. And Kangaskhan using Fake Out onto Smeargle. Ooh,
minus
that
2
is
attack
huge.
there.
-1, he did not Mega Evolve yet.
Oh.
And Will-O-Wisp onto the Smeargle, trying to get a little bit of chip damage onto that Smeargle. But that was an interesting move on the King's Shield from Smeargle.
Definitely. That's showing the benefit and the drawback of using King Shield, as it gets burnt even though it was protecting, but does give Kangaskhan -1 attack. We quickly see the full
Of course,
spread of King Shield there.
the King Shield not being able to block the Will-O-Wisp, and now the focus sash from Smeargle is broken because of the Will-O-Wisp burn damage.
Right, this is big. Probably bigger than the Kangaskhan attack loss. Thomas hedging his bets there, and one way or another something good was going to happen for him.
The Moody boost of accuracy increasing actually is really good for Dark Void.
If he can manage to get a Dark Void off before getting knocked out.
If he even has Dark Void, first off. Right now, waiting on PBB to make a decision. Of course, the accuracy increase kind of is okay, but at the same time, Kangaskhan can just outspeed and knock out Smeargle. Kangaskhan now opting to Mega Evolve, which is a good thing he didn't do it last turn.
Yeah, it would be at an even lower attack than he is. Definitely was expecting King Shield there, I think, even though he faked out into it.
Right, Blastoise.
And another follow me.
Follow me on from Smeargle onto the return. That is going to be a
Easy knockout.
Smeargle falling after following me, and Blastoise now getting ready to make a move and firing off a Water Spout.
Wow. And this will do a lot of damage to a Kangaskhan.
Does about 60% to Kangaskhan, a little bit of chip damage really to the Rotom washing machine, and Thunderbolt comes off. Blastoise hanging on.
So it's interesting, with the new Mega Launcher, we commonly see Water Pulse as the water attack on Blastoise. The Randy opting for the Water Spout there. Water Spout's a strong move, but it's definitely risky because as you lose your health, Water Spout becomes weaker. And so now, if Randy would have tried to use Water Spout, it'd be much weaker.
Right, Water Spout so prevalent in that 2010 metagame, which you and we used to play a lot in. Scizor replacing the Fallen Smeargle right now. Interesting to see what Scizor will be able to do against Rotom Washing Machine and Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan, of course, outspeeding both of Randy's Pokemon, and Randy is actually against the wall now, in my opinion.
Yeah, this Rotom, like earlier, Randy was faced with a Rotom that seemed to be powerful, but Randy was able to take it down then. So if he can get some quick damage on it with both Scizor and Blastoise, he can break through it.
Right. Of course, Kangaskhan at -1 because of that King's Shield. Lucky again that he did not Mega Evolve to fake it out to drop twice. Right now, awaiting Thomas to make his move. He's a very meticulous player. Thomas skipping the Winter Regionals, trying to get more CP and come back into the rankings again. Randy, of course, one of Canada's best players. Blastoise is going to protect itself this turn from any incoming damage from that Rotom or that Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan is pretty threatening. And Kangaskhan using Hammer Arm onto the Scizor.
Yeah, Hammer Arm's a move I really like on Kangaskhan. While Power Up Punch can counteract things like Intimidate and that King Shield drop, Hammer Arm just gives so much more damage.
Right, that did a little bit of damage to Scizor. About 33% to Scizor. And wow, that did a lot of damage to that Rotom Wash with the U-turn. Of course, Life Orb Scizor taking a bit of recoil damage, and Citrus Berry bringing Rotom to a bit below 50%.
And there we see kind of why Scizor has fallen off some. If that had been a Bug Bite, Scizor would be the one eating that Citrus Berry. Healing off the Hammer Arm, keeping Rotom from doing it, just makes a huge difference when you're able to Bug Bite instead of being forced to X Scizor or U-turn all the time.
Right, getting that Bug Bite. Eating Citrus Berries was a very popular thing for Scizor to do, and that is so good that, Life Orb recoil, but then you heal with the Citrus Berry.
Yeah. Citrus is a very common item, so it was easy to try to kind of scout out where your opponent's Citrus was and try to eat it.
Right, Citrus Berry is a very good item. Recovery of any sort really is a good item. As Garchomp comes in for the retreating Scizor. Again, waiting on Thomas Mifflin, meticulous player, like I said before. He looks at every option that he has.
Been around a long time, seen every option that he has in front of him, and then choosing which one is going to do the most good for him.
Absolutely. Gardevoir coming in for the retreating Kangaskhan as it traces Rough Skin. That's actually pretty interesting. Dragon Claw coming out and not doing any damage to the new Fairy immune typing. Aura Sphere from Blastoise going onto the Rotom Wash.
Not doing quite enough to knock out that Rotom.
Right, that is a pretty big survive right there.
Definitely. I think Randy must have thought that Aura Sphere would have KO'd, or he would have just targeted the Rotom twice to make sure it went down and kept his Blastoise alive.
Right, PBB is playing extremely well. Switched in that Gardevoir to eat that, and putting himself in a position to do a lot of damage to that Garchomp, although
Gardevoir definitely doesn't want to take a Bullet Punch here.
Right, Scizor coming back in is definitely threatening to Gardevoir, and Rotom even.
Yeah, at Rotom's low health, everything's a threat to Rotom. We'll probably see Thomas switch out his Gardevoir here, but if he does, that Bullet Punch will still do decent damage to whatever comes in.
Right, Thomas up 4-2 right now. Randy Quaw backs to the wall. Really want to see Dark Void happen at least once, but
someday.
I guess someday. Salamence coming in for the Gardevoir right now, intimidating Scizor and Garchomp. That is big to intimidate both those hard hitters.
Definitely. Now that they are down to the last two, they won't be able to switch out and offset those drops. Thomas can probably stack a few of these intimidates if he wants to.
Right, Bullet Punch from Salamence, critical hit.
Ignores that intimidate. Does lots of damage.
Brings Salamence to the red. That was a huge critical hit, and Rock Slide comes out, and that is a double knockout.
Wow, and that was a big swing.
Rotom still there.
Protecting himself, but still, I'm not sure that just keeping Rotoms alive is really the best move on Thomas's part. Either Pokemon can knock it out at any time.
Right.
He probably would have had more momentum if he just let it get knocked out.
The critical hit was huge, though.
Definitely. Without the critical hit, that would have been a pretty measly bullet punch onto Salamence and would have had the opportunity to switch back out, maybe back to the Gardevoir and use Intimidate another time.
Kangaskhan coming back in. Right now, Kangaskhan at a decent amount of HP, but that bullet punch, as we saw, does so much damage, even though both are intimidated right now, though.
Right. It's interesting. Scissor does not resist Sucker Punch anymore, though. And so it could do a pretty decent amount of damage to Scissor if he can get it off. And Kangaskhan should be faster than the Scissor, and so he may be able to get an attack off even before the bullet punch.
Right. Scissor protecting itself this turn, and it's going to be interesting to see how this turn plays out. Kangaskhan faking out the Garchomp. Parental Bond will hit that twice.
And that Rough Skin, that will absolutely put it in the bullet punch knockout range.
Right. That chip damage from Rough Skin brings Kangaskhan back down into the red. Garchomp flinching and not being able to move this turn, and Rotom Wash firing the Hydro Pump into the Scissors Protect. Right now, Scissor is the key to victory for Randy.
If at any point Garchomp is the last one on the field for Randy, then Gardevoir will probably make quick work of it, and so he's going to have to keep Scissor alive to have a chance at that Gardevoir.
Gonna be interesting to see how this turn plays out. Bullet Punch, both. Scissor needs to stay alive.
Like I said,
though.
Bullet Punch, yeah, it gives the option for Sucker Punch.
Scissor using Feint. Of course, we saw that earlier to get the knockout on King of Mars' Charizard.
I'd forgotten about Feint. Feint has even more priority and does go before Sucker Punch because of that.
Right, and that is exactly why Randy did that, and that is a good move on Randy's part.
That is a very good move. Caught Thomas off guard, and is enough to pull this incredible comeback from 2v4.
Wow, what a comeback by Randy.
There's still definitely a chance here for Thomas, but this Bullet Punch, even at -1, is going to do a very significant amount of damage to Gardevoir.
Right,
And
rough skin tracing is pretty cool
yeah,
to pick up.
That'll definitely help get a knockout on Scissor without having to take more than one Bullet Punch. What item? We're probably going to reveal what item Gardevoir has here, and that'll be useful information for Randy, no matter what.
Garchomp protecting itself this turn, and Scissor firing off the Bullet Punch. From -1 Scissor, that does about 70%. Rough Skin taking effect on Scissor and doing a lot of damage back to it with the right Life Orb recoil and the Dazzling Gleam.
So we've not revealed the item yet, and basically the item is going to decide the game here. If it is a Choice Scarf, it will knock out Garchomp, and if it's not, Garchomp will outspeed and most likely get the knockout with an Earthquake. So here we go.
So now the item is going to be revealed. Garchomp outspeeds the Gardevoir and gets the Earthquake off and gets the win. Randy Quack comes back from a very big deficit to come back and take it over Thomas Mifflin.
It's very well played by Randy to keep his Garchomp alive until Scissor was knocked out. Brought Earthquake to full strength. I'm not sure that a 75% reduced Earthquake would have actually done enough damage.
Right, that was definitely a great game by both players. Randy Quad just edging it out over PBB. Len, how do you think PBB should adjust that? I mean, he was in control for a pretty good amount of the game.
Yeah, he definitely was. But a big key to his control was the health of his Rotom. And you saw that as soon as Randy got the Rotom low enough in health that multiple things could knock it out, it broke the momentum that PBB had and allowed him to start going on a run. I think if PBB can find a way to keep momentum even after losing his Rotom, that could swing the game.
Right, back to team preview right now where both players need to find ways to adjust to it. Thomas's team, of course, Gardevoir, Tyranitar, Kangaskhan, Aegislash, Salamence, Rotom Wash versus Randy's Blastoise, Venusaur, Scissor, Smeargle, Garchomp, and Rotom H. Wow, that was such a good comeback.
Oh, that was incredible. The feint was really
Feint was critical, right.
PBB fully expecting that his Sucker Punch would outspeed and knock out Scissor if it attempted a Bullet Punch, and just did not expect the feint to have a higher priority bracket and move before he had the chance.
Of course, revealing feint now, PBB is going to be a lot more cautious about how he protects his Pokemon.
But really, that can get into PBB's head if he really is overthinking all his protects, worrying about feint all the time. It can have an effect on how Thomas plays for sure.
Right. Feint, of course, extra priority. Very interesting move.
Low base power, but with the technician that Scissor has, it still does respectable damage even without the boost for being the same type. So
And of course, you don't have to worry about people protecting.
obviously that's the biggest benefit of using the feint.
Right. So right now, waiting on PBB's adjustments to his team.
So I think Randy could try to switch up his Mega here. He has the two that we've seen him use, the Mega Venusaur and Mega Blastoise. The Mega Blastoise really didn't do much for him last game. It weakened that Kangaskhan, but it was knocked out pretty quickly from Thunderbolts, whereas Venusaur would easily handle Rotom. So we might see Randy switch it up, but he did win, so why mess with the winning strategy?
Tony, in the other game against Max Douglas, has taken game 1 over Star Metroid, so we await the rest of the match over there. PBB leading again with Rotom Wash and Kangaskhan, and Randy leading the exact same leads as well. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to change their leads this time with the information that they gained
turn
from
one
game 1.
Was a huge turn last game as the fake out went to the King Shield, as did the Will-O-Wisp. We'll probably see maybe both of them mix it up and do something different. So again, I think turn 1 will be crucial to this game. And even though it went in Thomas's favor last game, Randy was able to come back from that, but it was still an important part of Thomas's early success was the way turn 1 went for him.
You think we're going to see Dark Void?
I'd like to finally see Dark Void. We've been watching Randy play. This is the 3rd game now, and we still haven't seen it. Didn't really have an opportunity last game. Did have some opportunities in other games we watched, but we'll have to see if he ever gets the chance this game.
Blastoise, Mega Evolving this turn to turn into Mega Blastoise. Of course, we saw the Water Spout from earlier. Kangaskhan faking out this turn. Smeargle opting to not use King Shield this turn, and that does a lot of damage. Flinching and cannot make a move.
It does. As a Mega, that would have been even more significant amount of damage.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And Blastoise getting the knockout on Mega Kangaskhan right away.
See, that was the regular Kangaskhan. We may have noticed the difference in bulk there between regular Kangaskhan and Mega Kangaskhan as the Aurasphere was able to knock out in one hit.
Right. Smeargle getting a defense boost, but that's not too important, really, from the Moody.
It's low health. It's not going to matter. And the special attack drop doesn't matter, so an inconsequential Moody there. I think Randy adjusted there to seeing how Thomas handled the King Shield last turn by not Mega Evolving turn 1 and took his chance to attack the weaker regular Kangaskhan.
Right. And that is a good move on Randy's part too. Pick off Thomas's Mega. That's huge.
We saw Randy win last game despite a weak turn 1, and now he's had a strong turn 1. So Thomas can't feel great about how that's gone.
It's always good to take away someone's Mega turn 1.
Oh, it's incredible. And it's when they didn't even have the opportunity to Mega Evolve.
Right.
I don't think Thomas has another Pokemon he's going to try to Mega Evolve, so it's he's just not going to have the opportunity to ever bring out a Mega this game.
Salamence coming in for the Fallen Kangaskhan, and now we await Thomas' move as Smeargle continues to use Follow Me.
Yeah, probably taking the first Dragon move or Fire Blast from Salamence, but
Salamence using Fire Blast onto the Smeargle, and that is a knockout. And Blastoise now probably going to fire an Ice Beam onto that Salamence. It does.
And this will most likely be a knockout unless there's a Focus Sash or, yeah.
That is a knockout. Gonna trade both Pokemon. Rotom Wash this turn is probably going to knock out the Blastoise as well. Now it is 2-on-2.
Yeah.
2-on-2.
Very quickly has fallen to a 2-on-2. Last game, Randy nearly lost his 2 this quickly, but obviously Thomas took much longer to lose his first 2. So
incoming is the Gardevoir and the Garchomp.
On the other hand, last game, while Thomas had not lost a Pokemon yet, he lost almost all of Rotom's health, including its Citrus, and now Rotom remains untouched.
Rotom is untouched, that is correct.
And it is probably Thomas's best answer to both Garchomp and Scissor, so this would be really crucial for Thomas. He managed to get his Rotom through the early game unscathed.
Right. Gardevoir tracing the Technician, not going to be too much of a deal.
Yeah, Rough Skin would have been nicer, but it doesn't make much difference here.
Right. Remember, the Scissor Bullet Punch last time did not get the knockout on Gardevoir, but now Scissor's not intimidated, so that might probably pick up the KO, but we also know that it's not Scarf, so we know that Gardevoir can protect itself this time.
It may be able to. Choice Specs Gardevoir is not completely uncommon either.
And there it is, the bullet punch onto Gardevoir gets the knockout.
Yeah.
Rotom versus the world right now.
I believe that that lack of protect there does show that it's most likely a choice specs.
Choice specs
Gardevoir.
variant, yeah. Garchomp firing off a Will-O-Wisp onto the Scissor, and now Garchomp and Scissor versus Rotom Wash. This is going to be an interesting battle to watch.
It is. Rotom's going to try to get everything burnt and just see if it can slowly get them down. Still has its Citrus intact, but has lost a chunk of health.
Both players now selecting their moves. Honestly, all it comes down to for Randy is just going to be chipping away at Rotom until it gets knocked out. Rotom protecting itself this turn.
Just to get burn damage on Scissor here. It's kind of, both players are going to play this really straightforward. There's not much for them to opt to do. Thomas is just going to need to alternate protects and attacks and try to slowly get these down, while Randy just needs to attack with both win every game. So we'll see how it turns out.
Right. Interesting to see that PBB would actually be willing to protect, knowing that Scissor does have Feint.
Yeah, that's true. The Feint breaking the protect would hurt, but at this point, he's in a tough situation. Probably needs to take every advantage he can get.
Right, Garchomp firing off the Dragon Claw, activating Rotom Citrus Berry, bringing it to about 45%, 40%, and Scissor firing off the U-turn onto the Rotom Wash, and that brings it back down to about 25%. Rotom versus the world right now, firing off a Hydro Pump onto the Garchomp, and that is not critical. Gets the critical hit.
But it's still not enough to knock out the Garchomp, and most likely, definitely in Dragon Claw knockout range at this point. Feint Dragon Claw will end the game next turn, no matter what Thomas does.
And Thomas, of course, trying to protect itself this turn, maybe get some burn damage, but as we saw before, Scissor with the Feint.
There's no
Dragon
reason
Claw.
for Randy to not use the Feint there, as he was already for sure going to get the knockout with Dragon Claw, and so there we go.
Dragon
Randy
Claw.
moving to the finals.
Randy advancing to the finals of the 2014 Pokemon Video Game Regional Championships here in Washington. Randy, Canada's arguably one of Canada's best players. We are currently awaiting what's happening on the other side of the venue with Star Metroid and Chinese Dude. Last we heard was Chinese Dude being up 1-0.
Two of Canada's top players maybe moving the finals here would be a very interesting match. The other match would be very interesting too. Star Metroid is not a player we've seen too much of, but definitely a strong player to have reached this far in a difficult tournament today.
Right, of course, Chinese Dude and Randy have been known to play each other since they're both from Vancouver. Right now, just waiting upon that. PBB fought hard. It's a good game, both teams played hard. And Randy just came out on top. Great comeback from him first game, and PBB just could not adjust in the second game at all.
Randy made the adjustments based on what he saw turn one in the last game. It quickly swung the game in his favor, and he was able to win. Didn't need the incredible comeback that he'd gotten in the first game.
Absolutely, that is correct. I think we'll take a break right now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, but that is going to be the last of me, Duy. I got to go catch a flight right now, so thank you, Len, for joining me on the mic.
Sure, I'll be back for the final. We'll join you again in a minute when that match is set up and ready to go.
We'll be right back. Thank you so much, guys. This is Duy H out.